I'm joined by the fantastic Carey, Sumner, Nicholas Kuhne, and Max Emma. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Hello.
All right, we're going to play Jeopardy today, as we do every time. And the categories that we've got are US history, weather, bodies of water, golden oldies, which is old songs like from the 50s rock and roll swing type era, highways and byways, and languages. Max, on the left, you can kick things off. What category would you like, Max?
U.S. history for 400.
US history for 400. Though he left the service after World War II as a captain, today he holds the highest rank possible. Now, when it says today, I think it might mean mid-80s. So, a highly ranked military person in the 80s in the United States that served in World War II as a captain. I can think of a couple. Can you remember one whose name started with an O? Might have been a bit later than the 80s. I'm not sure. There was... the Iraq War was kind of early 90s, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was late 80s. The first Iraq War was
late 80s. Well, yeah, probably not this guy, but he probably has the same rank. The rank would probably be a general.
Yeah, probably general or admiral, but probably general. But
so there is a higher rank than general. Is an admiral higher?
No,
Same.
it's in the Navy.
It's the Navy. Gotcha, it is too. All right. Well, do we have any idea who this mystery general could be? Let's just take a look. It's Ronnie Reagan. Oh, the highest rank as in the president.
He's commander-in-chief.
Commander-in-chief. We forgot that one. Aren't we terrible? Well, you're still in control, Max. What would you like?
U.S. history for 200.
U.S. history for 200. Demonstrators were kicked out of this city's Lincoln Park, August 27, 1968.
Chicago?
That was Casey, was it? Let's take a look. Chicago is correct. Well done, Casey. Sumner sniped control away from Max. You're in control now. What would you like, Casey?
It's Carey.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. Well, since I'm the U.S. guy, I'll go 600 for U.S. history.
U.S. history 600, country to which the U.S. began beaming radio Marty in May 1985. Now, this is the middle of the Cold War. Why would we be beaming radio to somewhere, and where would it be?
East Germany.
East Germany. Let's take a look. It was Cuba. That was the other one I was thinking. Cuba. We're trying to free them from communism, which didn't work out too well. It just sort of collapsed on itself.
Well, me being from the former Soviet Union original, I should have known that.
Ah, yes, you've had experience driving a Lada, Neva. All right, continuing on. Carey, Sumner, what would you like?
Let's go golden oldies for 1,000.
Golden oldies for 1,000. Ernie K. Doe called her the worst person I know. Well, I don't know who Ernie K. Doe is. Does anybody else? These $1,000 questions are quite tough.
Madonna? No.
Let's take a look. Well, golden oldies is really old songs like, Bill
Yeah,
Haley and the Comets, Rock Around the Clock. It is his mother-in-law, so Ernie... that's something I would never say publicly.
That is a trick question.
Yes. All right, continuing on. Carey, Sumner.
Well, let's go bodies of water for 200. We'll try and make it a little easier on us.
Sounds good. Narrow biblical sea between Saudi Arabia and Africa that's an intense blue-green color.
Red Sea.
The Red Sea. The Red Sea's correct. Max, well done.
All right, let's finish the U.S. history, 800.
Well, there's two to go. We'll do 800 first of all. Though popular in the early 1800s, this Tennessee congressman was even more popular in the 1950s.
Davy Boone? Daniel Boone?
Daniel Boone, was he around in the 50s? Let's take a look. Davy Crockett, it's the other guy. Now,
The other one.
which one wore like a raccoon hat?
Yeah.
Which one? Was that Davy Crockett?
Davy Crockett.
I think it was Davy
Yeah.
Crockett.
Yeah.
And that song came out in the 50s, so that's again.
Could have been in that
the
category.
show.
I remember the song David Boone was a man, yes, a big man. I always say David Boone because we have a cricketer called David Boone. I get mixed up. Davy Crockett, that was that one. Yeah, I remember the reruns. All right, Max, I think you're in control. What would you like?
Languages for 200.
Languages for 200. The original of Islam's sacred book, the Quran, was written in
Arabic.
in rhyme in this language. And who said Arabic? Was it Nicholas?
Yeah.
Let's take a look. Well done, Nicholas is on the board and in control.
I'm going to do another language one. Let's do it.
Another language one. Let's do 400. Language of the world's oldest republic, tiny San Marino.
Italian.
Here comes Nicholas Kuhne. Well done. You're in control
There we
still.
go.
What would you like?
Let's do it. Let's go 600 on language.
600 on language. Nicholas is actually in the lead. Twi, Ga, Fang, and Bubi are languages
Africa.
spoken in this continent. Nicholas from Africa has got this one correct. Like
Yeah, let's do 800.
800 languages. Let's take a look. Unlike most European languages, Bulgarian doesn't
Cyrillic.
use
Slavic.
the Roman, but uses this one. Nicholas got in there first with the Cyrillic. Well done, Nicholas. Bounding ahead to 2,000.
Yeah, let's do the 1,000.
1,000 on languages. In 1821, he became the only person to invent, unaided, an entire alphabet and numbering system.
Monsieur, an entire alphabet.
And numbering system.
Person, or do you want the name or the person? Let's see. Morse.
Interesting answer. It was Sequoia.
Sequoia.
I've heard of Sequoia. All right, you're still in control though, Nicholas. What would you like?
Yeah. Well, let's do U.S. history for 1,000.
U.S.
let's go for
history.
gold.
This president vetoed more legislation than any other. Now, I would say Trump, but this is going to be an old question. This president vetoed more legislation, which was another scandal-prone president.
Nixon.
Who?
Nixon.
I reckon. Let's take a look.
I'm going to say Hoover.
It was actually Roosevelt. Franklin Roosevelt. Is that Teddy Roosevelt? Or is there a different...
No.
There's two Roosevelts, was there?
FDR.
Yeah.
FDR. Well, there you go. Now, you're still in control, Nicholas.
Bodies of water for 400.
Bodies of water. China's Huang River carries large amounts of straw-colored earth into this sea.
It's the
South
yellow.
China
river.
Sea.
South China Sea sounds pretty good, Max. It is actually the Yellow Sea. Did anybody say that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who said that? Did anybody say Yellow Sea?
Yes.
I said yellow river, not yellow sea. So if Carey said it first, then it's his.
All right.
I did not say.
So nobody said...
I said the yellow river. So I said the yellow river.
You said
not
Yellow River, but
sea.
nobody said Yellow Sea. All right, well, we'll just continue on. And Nicholas, you're still in control.
Yeah, let's do bodies of water 600.
Bodies of water 600. Name of this sea is said to allude not to its dark water, but its storms.
Black Sea.
Now, I think Nicholas just got in there by a microsecond. Does everyone agree? It was almost a dead heat. What do you reckon? Nicholas or Max? Don't make me the bad guy. All right,
Flip a coin.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, almost a flip of the coin. I think Nicholas just got in there. It is Black Sea. Well done, Nicholas. You're still in control.
Yeah, let's do 800 bodies of water.
Bodies of water, 800 icebreakers now keep port of Archangel on this appropriately named sea open in winter?
Come on, Max.
Arctic Sea.
Let's take a look. It's the White Sea. Is that the same as the Arctic Sea?
It's, I think, right next to each other, but
So it's a different one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just go by what we've got there. These are the actual questions and answers from an episode of Jeopardy in about 1984. Continuing on, Max, you're still in control.
Weather for 200.
Sorry. Oh, somebody is. All right, weather for 200. Daily newspaper illustration that shows isobars and temperatures. We don't even look at the newspaper anymore. Daily newspaper illustration that shows isobars and temperatures. They do it on the
Forecast.
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 Now,
No.
I seem to remember something starting with a B on the weather on the news.
Barometer.
And what do we call it? I'll accept that. If I would say barometric reading, I think is what we say in Australia. But I'll accept barometer. Let's take a look. Oh, it's completely wrong. A weather map. Well,
it was for 200, so
you might have to, launch a protest on that one. All right, now we gave Max control. You can continue in control, Max.
400 for weather.
400 weather. The two main types are polar orbiting and geostationary.
Satellites.
Let's take a look. Has Nicholas got it? Weather satellites. It is correct. I'm going to accept that. Well done. You're in control, Nicholas.
Let's keep going with the weather. Let's do 600, Julian.
Weather for 600. Name of wind which flows down eastern slopes of Rocky Mountains, raising temperature as much as 40 degrees in 3 hours. Who was that and what was it?
Jet stream.
Jet stream. Carey. It is the Chinook. Also the name of a helicopter. Continuing on, Max, what would you like?
Golden oldies for 200.
Golden oldies. Bill Haley hit that opens. Get down to that kitchen and rattle those pots and pans. Get down to that kitchen and rattle those pots and pans. Oh, this is the one my granddad used to play on his old record player. I think it's his big hit. Bill Haley.
Something Sam. Rattle those pots and pans. Snaps. Come on, you guys know this one.
The one I'm thinking.
It rhymes with that. It's got something Sam in it.
All right, let's take a look.
No.
Shake, rattle, and roll. I got
No.
the wrong one. It's probably one that he stole off a talented blues singer, which is what they used to do in those days. Shake, rattle, and roll. Unfortunately, no one got that, but you can continue on. Nicholas, what would you like?
Let's do another golden oldie, shall we? 400.
Golden Oldies 400 in song battle, where Johnny Horton put cannonballs in a gator's head and powdered his behind. Oh my goodness! We need some people from that era.
Yeah.
My granddad.
A gator's head.
All right, we don't know the answer. Let's take a look. It is the Battle of New Orleans. Anyone heard of that one?
Niet.
All right. Continuing on, Nicholas, what would you like?
I'm going to do weather for 800.
Weather for 800. The average weather conditions of a region over a long period of time.
Seasons.
Interesting. That sounds pretty good. Let's take a look. Climate is the answer.
Climate.
Interesting. I suppose seasons are just the times of the year. Continuing on, Nicholas, what would you like?
Weather 1000.
Weather for 1000. Name for temperature at which water vapor in the atmosphere begins to condense. It's got to be something point.
Dew point.
Sounds pretty good. Let's take a look. Dew point is correct. Well done. Carey, you're in control. And you're in touch. You're in second place.
All right, let's go bodies of water for 1,000.
bodies of water. Dutch settlers named this longest river of South
Orange River.
Africa, not for its colour, but for their royal family. Our South
Orange
African got that one immediately.
Sorry.
Hey Nicholas,
I mean,
is Drickus du Plessis going to win on the weekend?
most likely that guy's built like a rattlesnake.
He's a
or
tank,
alligator.
isn't he? He's a little bulldog. Anyway, what would you like, Carey? I think sorry, Nicholas, you are in control. What would you like?
Let's do some highways and byways since we're at it. So let's do for 200.
200 highways. Monopoly inventor Charles Darrow named properties in the game for streets in this city. Now,
Atlantic City.
well, you might need to be aware that Monopoly was originally all UK areas.
London.
Yes. All right, London. Let's take a
No,
look.
it's
So,
English.
London or Atlanta is what we've got. Atlantic City. Now that's
Atlantic City.
That's what I said.
Wow.
you did say that. Okay, well I'm giving it to you if that's what you said. All right, you're in control and you are still in second place. What would you like, Carey?
Let's do highways and byways, 400.
Highways and byways 400. In crossing Midtown Manhattan, its only avenue, you hit that's named for a-
Medicine.
I think Nicholas got that one. Does everyone agree? Got to be quick. Nicholas is just bang, pulls the trigger.
No, that was Max.
Max got it.
that.
Okay, well let's
Yeah.
let's adjust the scores. And how many points was that?
400.
400.
Okay, 400. Did that work? All right, Max, you're in control.
Highways and byways for 600.
Highways and byways for 600. Peace, hope, and friendship are streets in this state capital named in honor of God. Highways and byways, it'll be in the United States. Peace, hope, and friendship are streets in which state named in honor of God? What state is named in honor of God? Could be in Spanish. Well,
I want to say it's Texas, but I'm not sure.
Texas. All right.
But
Anyone got a
Let's
guess?
see. Peace, hope, and friendship are streets in the state capital.
The
So
state
it's a
capital.
named,
Well,
state.
so it's
capital
Austin.
is-
Texas, it's Austin.
Austin.
Yeah,
Okay, let's take a look.
No.
I'm going to say Los Angeles because that means the Angels.
Philadelphia. Sorry.
Providence, Rhode
Providence.
Island. Yeah, Providence means
Providence.
from God, I think.
Yeah, Los Angeles is not a capital of California.
Oh, isn't it? What's the capital of California?
It's Sacramento.
Oh, wow, there you go. It's like everyone thinks the capital of Australia. What's the capital of Australia?
Canberra.
You got it, Nicholas. You're too clever. Everyone goes, Sydney. All right.
We were doing these things with our kids, looking at maps around the world. So
You've done a bit of
we
research.
taught them real
You've been,
good.
You've been thinking you're going to go on this podcast one day. All right, continuing on. Whoever's in control, I think it's still Max. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. Let's do highways and byways.
Highways
Get
and
it over
byways
with.
for 800. There are 10 switchbacks in one block of this San Francisco street, often called the crookedest in the world. The crookedest street.
Mission Avenue.
Mission Avenue. Let's take a look. Oh, Lombard Street is what it's called. All right, we're going to do one more question, then we'll wrap it up. Max, what would you like?
Highways and byways for 1,000.
Big 1,000. Skyline Drive rides the crest of the mountains in this Virginia National Park.
Shenandoah.
Let's take a look. Shenandoah, well done.
Nice.
Carey with a strong 1,000-point haul. Look, let's just finish it off and see if Carey can take the lead here. We've got 400, 4,400, 2,400. My mathematics is incorrect. Anyway, let's continue on. Carey, what would you like?
Golden oldies for 6.
Golden oldies for 6. According to the Everly Brothers, not only was Johnny a joker, but he was also this. Rhymes with joker. Lou Reed might have done this as well. I'm just guessing. Because I know Lou Reed rhymed joker with something in his famous song. Let's take a look. Bird dog. Doesn't even rhyme. Last question. This girl was as skinny as a stick of macaroni. Does she rhyme with macaroni? Probably, but I'm not sure. Oh, I know this one. Isn't there a song called Boney
No.
Maroney? Let's take a look. Boney Maroney. Incredible. I got a
Boney
question
Maroney.
correct. Let's wrap things up
Never
there.
heard of it.
Never heard of it. We've got 400 for Max, 4,400 for Nicholas, and Carey, 2,400. Let's have a round of applause. Great game, guests. Got some very tough questions correct there. It was a very tough round. All right, Max, let's go over to you. Now, Max, what you're going to talk about is quite interesting because I do find interest in people that are setting up franchises in businesses which we don't often associate with franchises. Well, not to me anyway. Now, is that pretty much correct in what you're involved in?
So I'm involved. I'm selling my own bookkeeping franchises in all 50 states, but I'm also a franchise consultant. So I'm selling about 600 different brands that I don't own. I'm just being an advisor to other people to buy a franchise.
Okay, and how long have you been in the bookkeeping franchise business?
So I started my bookkeeping company about 13 years ago, and I started franchising it 4 years ago, and we just sold the 10th one literally yesterday. So I'm very excited.
Oh, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And what are the benefits? Because there are a lot of benefits to getting involved in a franchise. Do you want to just tell the viewers why they should consider franchises over doing it yourself?
I tell my franchisees and candidates, it's not necessarily we're going to tell you what to do. We're going to tell you what not to do. Because trust me, I made so many mistakes and I learned and I paid for them with my own dollars. So if somebody would tell me that, hey, don't do it because of this, this, and that would save me a lot of time, energy, and money. Usually franchise is a turnkey model. For example, our brand manual is 900 pages. Okay, so we tell people exactly what to say, how the script's gonna look, who to go. So it's just like step-by-step stuff. So all you have to do is follow it. You can improve it, but if you stick with it, you should be successful.
And this is the real benefit to me of this is that you have somebody almost like if you were to start up a business and you were immediately to get a coach that knew all about that business and you would pay that coach all this money, that's the benefit you get with the franchise. And like Max said, knowing how to make it work because you've made it work and you've learned and you have access to that if you are a franchisee. The question I would have would be, the average person who's a bookkeeper would be thinking, how do I generate new business? What are some of the ways that you recommend for building that particular type of business, bookkeeping?
So first of all, we provide clients for our franchisees because we are a preferred bookkeeping provider. My company is called Bookskeeping. We're a preferred bookkeeping provider for 95 franchise brands in the United States. Like Sport Clips, Fast Sign, Signorama. I know they're international. They're not only just in the US, but they are my clients. We do bookkeeping for them. So if a new Sport Clips opens in Miami and I have a franchisee there, then she gets the contact information and she can call them and say that we are preferred bookkeeping provider for your brand. So we are providing clients, but we not only giving them fish, we're teaching them how to fish. We tell them what to do. We provide 6 months of sales training. So that's the most important thing. More important than knowledge of how to do bookkeeping, because don't test me on the bookkeeping knowledge. I'm a finance guy. I don't have no idea how to do bookkeeping myself, but I have a team of people who does.
Yeah, well, that's very interesting because the marketing side is where people struggle a lot, and the fact that you have done a tremendous amount of networking among the franchise community to build relationships which franchisees can then use. How it's hard to say, but how much business could people expect by using this model? Like how many kind of leads, I guess, would a franchisees? I guess it depends on which cities they're in. Which are the strongest areas to do this?
So all the franchisees that are open now are doing as they're supposed to do. Somebody doing better, somebody doing, they not necessarily worse, but they're a little bit slower getting where they want to get. But everybody has different goals. I can tell you that the average gross sales is $533,000 a year. That's the numbers that we're showing in our financial disclosure. But it really depends on the franchisee if they want to get there and how they're going to get there. Because for some people, it's just a small business and they're okay with that. They don't want to have any employees. I can tell you that my very first franchisee, she was a bookkeeper when she bought our franchise, and she was doing $3,000 or $4,000 a month working from home. In 3 months working with us, maybe 4 months, she was doing $18,000 a month working from home. So really, we didn't teach her how to do accounting. We taught her how to do marketing, exactly what you said, Julian. How to do marketing, how to do networking, what to say, what not to say, and that got her to the next level. So that's why you want to look at any franchise for that particular reason.
Do you find that when people get involved in this, they go from doing everything themselves to being able to employ people and remove themselves a bit from the business?
Well, that's when the growth begins. As soon as you start delegate and hiring a team, that's when you're going to succeed in any business, franchise or not.
Awesome. Well, that's very interesting. And if anybody is interested in this, if you are a bookkeeper and you want to just have a chat to Max,
Julian, may I just say that you don't have to be a bookkeeper because we actually provide staff to do the work. So you don't even have to be a bookkeeper. You just have to be a rainmaker. You have to be somebody who wants to grow a business. You have to be an entrepreneur before you have to be an accountant.
Gotcha. So if you're looking at something which is probably a pretty reliable, steady income, because everybody needs bookkeepers, every business. It's the language of business, as my old pop used to say. Accounting and bookkeeping never goes away, and it's a good, solid business. And you also deal with other franchises. What are some other really exciting franchise opportunities that you know about, Max?
Well, right now, the hottest thing in the United States is home care for seniors and pet-related businesses. So before COVID, it was all about fitness. Now, this is not as popular. As I said, the pet services and franchises, home care, senior care.
What is it? Path services. What did you say?
Pet service is just a store that pet grooming,
pets,
dog grooming, pets.
Gotcha. All the dog stuff, and the other one, home services, because there's a lot of I guess boomers with a bit of cash, and then they need help. That makes sense to me. Very interesting. Well, I've put Max's details in the show notes if you want to have a chat to Max. And can people contact you on the bookkeeping website or LinkedIn?
Actually, the easiest way to remember is my personal website, franchisewithmax.com. And then when you get there, it's going to take you to either bookkeeping franchise or the brokerage site, or if you want service for your own bookkeeping, needs.
Gotcha. Franchise with Max. Well, thank you very much, Max. Emma, that was interesting. All right, let's pop over to Nicholas Kuhne. Now, what are you up to, Nicholas? You're an agency founder, lecturer, and entrepreneur. You've been in advertising, and you know about building brands. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I've been in marketing and advertising for the past 24 years now, or nearly 24 years this year actually. I've started a agency called Wunderbrand, which is 13 years old, and that's focusing primarily on emerging market brands. So in places like India, Pakistan, Malaysia, Nigeria, places like that, which didn't traditionally have all of the benefits of using Interbrand, which is one of the companies I used to work at. And then I lecture in digital marketing at a university in Oslo. So that's what brought me over to Norway. And like you, I've got a podcast, as you can see, from startup to Wunderbrand, and we talk about, similar to folks like Max, if you're going to start a business, how do you start a brand? How do you build your personal brand? How do you separate yourself from the rest of the market? And how do you build something that is lasting value? So, and I have to just say, this is the most ridiculous show I've been on, and I love it. So so it's
different.
a very cool. It's different. It's a cool concept. But in terms of what I'm trying to do is, as Max said, you want to help people avoid making stupid mistakes. When I say stupid, it's mistakes that we've made that we know, wow, now in hindsight, we can go back and say, well, if somebody had told me this, maybe I would have listened. Maybe you wouldn't actually, because you have to experience a lot of these things first before you realize it's a mistake. But I try and coach people and guide people in terms of shortcutting some of the things that are unnecessary. And the brand industry and marketing industry and digital marketing industry is changing so quickly that you've got to be on top of it. And it's impossible as an entrepreneur or one individual to know exactly what's going on in the world of marketing and branding. So what I try and do when I speak to folks and when we do our consulting is to keep people up to date with what's happening, filter out the trash. And again, like Max said, I don't have 1,000 designers and consultants with me anymore, but I've got a wonderful black book. So if anyone needs any specific work, I'll obviously be doing that, but we'll bring in the folks who are the geniuses in that particular space. And that's the wonder of working online. And yeah, I've worked in some tough countries, Malaysia, Nigeria, South Africa, and now Norway. So got a real good insight into what works in different countries. So Max, if you ever want to expand into international markets as well, I know the US is big enough, but if you need some insights into what's happening in the Malaysian market, what's happening in the Indian market, what's happening in the European market, there are people out there who can help.
Interesting.
Thank you.
You talk about India and stuff, and I know that there's a lot of things kind of developing in India and other developing countries which they never needed, I suppose, and they're starting to mature. Do you want to tell us a little bit about some of the differences with places like India and Nigeria in terms of brand agency work?
When I started working in Nigeria 20 years ago, there was literally nothing there. It was starting from ground zero. And one of the benefits that countries like Nigeria and India and China had, for example, is they don't have all of the legacy infrastructure that the established countries have. So, for example, if you look at banking in the United States, which I think is back in the Stone Age, compared to banking in Malaysia, banking in India, where they don't have these enormous and expensive IBM mainframes which need to be updated, and expensive staff and expensive contracts. And they've been able to leapfrog that by taking on all of this new technology that's coming out. So fintech is huge in these markets. So that's one interesting aspect. The other aspect is, and the reason I got into this business in the first place, is that I saw Unilever, I saw Nestle, I saw Coca-Cola, and all these companies established in these countries and just swallowing up the little mom and pop stores, and not mom and pop stores, but the mom and pop producers and some of the local entrepreneurs. And I wanted to help those guys compete against the large international brands. It's a tough gig, but I think that we are seeing more and more local companies sprouting up in these markets that really understand the market better, have learned or have worked at those big international companies and are bringing those skills either back from the US or from what they've learned working in those companies in those countries to driving up local brands. But we can have a whole complete different discussion on where I think the future of branding is going. But basically, these markets are slowly maturing, and in some ways are more advanced in specific ways than established markets, purely because the barriers to entry in terms of huge technology spend and infrastructure spend have been crushed by new technology.
Wonderful. Yeah, that was interesting what you talked about in terms of the banking industry, especially the United States. It's so huge, and like you say, it's kind of immobile and non-flexible. And a lot of the Indian banks, but tech companies and stuff, they're all really decentralized. They're light. They can quickly move and adapt it, like you say, adapting things like fintech, which is going to be a huge thing. India and Malaysia and even some parts of like Brazil, South America. There's a lot of stuff going on all around the world in non-traditional areas. Very exciting stuff. Well, that's great, Nicholas. Thank you very much. And check out Nicholas's podcast, From Startup to Wonder Brand. And Nicholas has got a lot of great stuff on there and a lot of great experience. Definitely worth checking that out. Thank you, Nicholas Kuhne. All right, let's pop over to Carey Sumner. Carey, tell us a little bit about Is it Cresco? Or Cresso. And and how did you come about that? I know you've been an entrepreneur since you were a young fellow, and you had a lawn mowing business which you grew. Do you want to tell us a bit about that and how you got into what you're doing now?
Yeah, absolutely. So Cresso Consulting really is about coming alongside business owners and organizations and helping them thrive. Cresso is actually Latin for to increase, multiply, or thrive. So that's kind of where the name itself comes from. And really what I do is I do team development, strategic planning, profitability consulting. So any number of problem solving issues that come up, I like to take a personalized approach to each business that I work with, knowing that they all have their own unique problems that they're facing. What we do is we come in and get to know the business, get to know the leader, get to know the owner, and really understand what are their goals, what are they trying to accomplish, and then we help develop plans for them to be able to accomplish those goals.
Do you ever go to a company and you just think there's something wrong here in terms of, like, I would say culture, but when I say culture, I mean like the business culture, the way everything's together, the team, the strength of the team. Would you say building a strong team was one of the key focuses?
Yeah, it's absolutely foundational. One of the tools that I use is by a guy named Patrick Lencioni in the Table Group. They've developed what's called the 6 Working Geniuses. And so with that model, it really focuses on people's productivity. There's a lot of personality assessments out there, but this assessment really looks at where do people thrive in the work that they do. And so that's typically one of the first things that I'll do with an organization I work with is we gain an understanding of are people in the right seats on the bus, as Jim Collins would say, to actually thrive. And so if you've got someone that you've tasked with doing detail-oriented work and they are not detail-oriented, we can quickly identify why you might be having some of those cultural issues that you were mentioning, Julian.
Yes, not detail-oriented. I feel personally attacked, Carey. Well, that's awesome. And who do you mostly work with? What types of businesses?
Yeah, usually entrepreneurs somewhere, anywhere from 100 million in revenue on down to they're just starting up their business. So it's not really a specific market segmentation, but just people who want their businesses and their organizations to be better. And a lot of times what I find is it's people who are doing well with their business. And one of the reasons they're doing well is because they've sought outsiders to come in and help them along in the journey on that process as they go along building their business.
Do you ever find, Carey, that sometimes you'll see a business and it's achieved a level of success and then it's kind of just stuck, and it's hard to convince the owner to change because it's worked what he's been doing or she has been doing? Do you find ever much resistance with CEOs, like when you basically got to tell them, yeah, it was right what you did, but now it's kind of wrong?
Yeah, that can definitely be there. A lot of my approach is not to give the businesses I work with a yes or no answer on certain things or questions they ask, but more to help present the full picture so that they feel confident in making their own decision. After all, they're the ones who are owning the business, running the business, that have to go after it. And there are definitely times where if I was the business owner, I would make a different decision, but that's only because it's me. And what I really want to do is let that business owner make their best decision.
Yes, it's also very clever when you can make somebody think it's their idea, which you've kind of made them have. Then you're on to a winner. Well, that's very interesting. If you want to have a chat to Carey Sumner, his details are in the show notes as well. That was great. Some very smart guests and interesting guests today. They're always pretty good. I'm going to wrap things up. Thanks to our guests.